And it looks like we're going to finish the 9th chapter of Many Waters in this video. Noah and Japheth have got news, and we already heard Lamech say Noah's family was going to be safe, but it doesn't look like Yaleth gets to be part of that. Japheth has kind of communicated that to Aholibama, and Noah has kind of got this look on his face as Yaleth is hugging him that things are not going to turn out well for her. So we will pick up at the page break. A soft whimpering woke the twins. Higgaion had come over to their sleeping skins to summon them. Sandy opened his eyes. "Higgy, what's the matter?" Denny sat up, abruptly wide awake. "Is it Grandfather Lamech?" He looked at Higgaion, asking, "Should we get Noah? His grandfather?" Sandy could not finish the sentence. The two boys scrambled across the tent to the old man's sleeping skins. Grandfather Lamech was breathing in strange, shallow pants. Denny's reached to touch him and saw the scarab beetle. He felt a surge of relief. Spoke urgently. "Admiral, we need Admail. If he could be his camel self, he could carry one of us to Noah's tent far more quickly than either Sandy or I could run." Denny's gently touched the bronze armor of the scarab beetle, which thinned out and disappeared under his finger, so that he was touching only a corner of the old man's sleeping skin. Admiral stood by them, a golden glimmer in the gloom of the tent. "I will get Admail. Wait with Grandfather Lamech." With one of his swift, graceful gestures, he bowed and went out. Sandy and Denny's each took one of Grandfather Lamech's hands, which felt as cold and lifeless as marble. Sandy said, "Admiral is calling Admail for us. We'll get Noah for you as quickly as we can." The old man breathed softly. "My good boys." Denny's watched Grandfather Lamech's straining effort to breathe. Gently, he put his arm under the small, frail body, easing it into a sitting position. The old man leaned against the boy, and his breathing lightened. "I'll stay with you, Grandfather." Denny's looked at Sandy and nodded. Sandy nodded back. "I can't wait," the old man whispered. "I can't wait," the old man whispered, "until the last star goes out." Admiral returned. He knelt by Grandfather Lamech, examining him gently. He turned to the twins. "Admiral is waiting outside. You do not need to rush, Sand. There will be time." Grandfather Lamech gasped. "Until the baboons." Admiral smiled. "Until the baboons clap their hands and shout for joy to welcome the dawn." Denny said, "I'll stay with Grandfather." Admiral nodded, touching Denny's shoulder lightly. "Good. I will be here if you need me." His bright form misted, swirled softly like fog, and the scarab beetle shone against Higgaion's ear. When Denny's had ridden the white camel across the desert, coming from Noah's tent, he had still been weak from his sunstroke. Sandy was well and strong, and had little difficulty keeping his seat, his body quickly becoming accustomed to the erratically rolling rhythm. They crossed the desert without trouble. On a high outcropping of white rock, a lion stood majestically to watch their progress. There was no sound around Noah's tent-hold, beyond contented snores. Sandy pulled back the flap of the big tent, calling, "Noah!" It was Matred's sleepy voice that answered. "Who is it?" "Sandy. Grandfather Lamech sent me to get Noah." Noah's voice was deep. "I'll be right out." Sandy stood outside, listening to the sound of the night, insects mingling with snores from Ham and Elizabeth's tent. He looked up at the sky, and the low, blurred stars seemed to be calling him, but he could not understand what they were trying to say. Noah came out, wearing a fresh loincloth. "Denny's is with Grandfather," Sandy said, and Higgaion. Noah nodded. "Admiral said there would be time, but you'll get there faster if you ride the camel alone. I'll walk back." Again, Noah nodded, accepting the offer. The camel's legs were folded under so that Noah could climb up easily. He sat astride, his work-gnarled fingers gripping the hair at the camel's neck. The white beast rose slowly, leaned its head on the long-arched neck, low enough so that it could nuzzle Sandy softly, then took off, heading for the desert. Sandy followed slowly. He knew that as soon as Noah reached the tent, Denny's would leave Grandfather Lamech to allow the old man his last minutes with his son. Denny's would be waiting for him, probably sitting out on the root bench, perhaps with Higgaion to wait with him. But Sandy could not make his feet hurry. He He jumped down onto the desert, and the sand lapped at his feet. He let it run like water through his toes. When Grandfather Lamech died, what then? Would it be near time for the flood? Would Sandy and Denny's be allowed to stay in the old man's tent and take care of his garden and groves? Asking these questions of the silent stars did nothing to ease the lump of sorrow in his throat. He moved slowly over the sand, stubbed his toe on a hidden rock, said, "Ouch!" in a loud voice, walked on. On his rock the lion now lay still, watchful, its ears pricking as Sandy plodded by. The horizon was touched with a faint rose color, the stars were dimming. The birds were waking in the trees. He thought he heard a sleepy jabbering from the baboons. He turned in toward the oasis. He could not delay his return any longer. His head was down. He was looking at his feet moving across the sand. He did not notice sounds behind him. Something noxious was thrown over his head, blinding him. He was picked up roughly, his feet jerked out from under him. 2 people were carrying him. The foul-smelling skin over his head was pressed hard against his mouth so that he could not scream. He tried to wriggle out of the clutch of whoever was carrying him, and a fist crashed into his belly, winding him, and something sharp pricked his arm. And that is the end of Chapter 9.